Every night for nearly a decade, someone robbed the Stardust Casino on the Las Vegas Strip. They didn't break in through a window. They didn't tunnel under the vault. They walked through the front door, counted the money, skimmed their cut, and went home. They were the owners. You're listening to The Unlit Room. Every story in here actually happened. That's the part that should scare you. New stories every day, Monday through Saturday. Today, the most successful heist in American history, and nobody had to pick a lock. The Stardust Resort and Casino opened on the Las Vegas Strip in 1958. By the early 70s, it was one of the most profitable gambling operations in Nevada. Rows of slot machines pulling in millions a month, a showroom that packed in tourists 6 nights a week. On paper, it was a legitimate business. On paper. In 1974, a man named Alan Glick bought the Stardust. He was 32 years old, a Vietnam veteran with a business degree and almost no experience in gaming. What he did have was $62 million in loans from the Teamsters Central States Pension Fund. That fund was controlled by men in Chicago and Kansas City who needed something very specific: a front man. Someone whose name could go on the paperwork while they ran the casino from 1,000 miles away. The man they sent to actually run the operation was Frank R.O.H. Zenthal, lefty to anyone who knew him. R.O. Zenthal was a professional sports handicapper from Chicago. He'd never held a gaming license. He didn't need one. He ran the Stardust through a series of unofficial titles: entertainment director, food and beverage consultant, while making every meaningful decision from which dealers worked which tables to how the counting room operated. And the counting room was where it all happened. Las Vegas in the mid-70s was still a place where cash moved in rivers. No digital tracking, no centralized auditing. The Gaming Control Board existed, but it was underfunded and understaffed. In a city built on the principle that the house always wins, nobody had thought to ask, what if the house is cheating itself? Micro Cliffhanger 1. The answer was in the basement. The Stardust's counting room was a secured space in the basement where slot machine coins were weighed, sorted, and tallied. Every night, workers fed coins into scales that calculated the total take. The numbers went into the books went to the state collected its tax, except the scales were rigged. They undercounted by a fixed percentage, just enough to shave millions over the course of a year without triggering an obvious discrepancy. And the coin buckets had false bottoms. A layer of coins sat underneath, invisible during the official count. After the tally was done, the false bottoms were lifted out. The skimmed cash, estimates range from $2 to $7 million a year, was bundled and handed to couriers. Not in armored cars, not in locked briefcases, in paper grocery bags. The couriers drove to the airport, boarded commercial flights, and carried the bags to Kansas City. There, Nick Chivell, the boss of the Kansas City crime family, divided the money among 4 families: Chicago, Milwaukee, Kansas City, and Cleveland. The cash was clean. It had never appeared on any ledger. It had never been taxed. As far as the state of Nevada knew, it didn't exist. Micro Cliffhanger 2. For nearly a decade, the system worked perfectly. Then Chicago sent an enforcer, and everything fell apart. In 1976, the Chicago outfit dispatched Tony Spilot Rowe to Las Vegas. His job was simple: protect the skim. Make sure nobody, not rival crews, not ambitious employees, not curious regulators, got in the way. Spilot Rowe was spectacularly bad at being quiet. He ran a burglary ring called the Hole in the Wall Gang. He intimidated witnesses in broad daylight. He beat people in public. He drew the kind of attention that made federal agents open files. And they did. The FBI launched Operation Strawman, a multi-year investigation into the Teamsters Pension Fund loans and the casino skimming operation. Agents planted bugs in Kansas City. They turned Alan Glick, the front man, into a cooperating witness. They followed the grocery bags from the counting room to the airport to Chivell's living room. In 1979, Gaming Control Board agents walked into the Stardust counting room and found the rigged scales. They found the false-bottomed buckets, the physical proof of what had been happening every night for years, just sitting there, built into the furniture. Zenthal, survived a car bombing in 1982. Someone wired explosives under his Cadillac in a restaurant parking lot. He walked away because the bomb detonated downward through the floorboard instead of upward into the seat. He moved to Florida and lived another 26 years. The Stardust skim didn't end because the FBI cracked the code. It ended because the mob couldn't control its own enforcer. __break_38 C9 D740-3 Tony Spee lot row, the man sent to protect the operation, was the thing that attracted the investigation. Every beating, every burglary, every public act of violence was a flare that drew federal eyes to the one place the outfit needed them to look away from. The security measure was the vulnerability. The guard dog bit the owner. In 1983, Operation Strawman produced indictments. 15 mob figures were convicted, including bosses from 4 cities. ROH Zenthal was permanently banned from every casino in Nevada. And Spelot Row? In June of 1986, Tony and his brother Michael were lured to a meeting. They were beaten to death. Their bodies were buried in a shallow grave in a cornfield near Enos, Indiana. The outfit solved the Spy Lot Row problem the way it always solved problems. The Stardust was demolished in 2007. A new resort went up on the same ground. The slot machines still take your money. The counting rooms still tally the take. The difference is the books are cleaner now, corporate auditors instead of mob couriers. But the lesson of the Stardust isn't really about organized crime. It's about the difference between theft and bookkeeping. The mob didn't steal from the casino. They built a casino that was designed to be stolen from. The heist wasn't a single dramatic moment. It was an accounting decision, repeated every night for almost 10 years. The most successful robbery in American history didn't need a mask, a gun, or a getaway car. It just needed a rigged scale and a grocery bag. If this one kept you up tonight, good. New stories every day, Monday through Saturday. Subscribe so the next one finds you too. Follow the Unlit Room wherever you listen. Tell a friend, but maybe don't tell them it's all real until after they've finished. Full story on the main channel. Follow if you're wide awake. That was the Unlit Room. See you in the dark.